Every single day, ordinary people step into literally unimaginable danger. Let's jump right into this explainer and unpack the raw psychological journey of a first responder by deconstructing the vivid narrative found in the cinematic track before we walk into fire. This isn't just about the physical act of firefighting. It's actually an incredibly profound look at the mental and emotional toll of stepping into the abyss on a daily basis. It captures the heavy, unspoken reality carried by those wearing the uniform, and we're going to break down exactly how it does that.
I want to hook you immediately with this opening lyric. The silence breaks long before the sirens do. This instantly corrects a really common misconception. For a first responder, the ordeal doesn't begin with the loud, chaotic noise of heavy trucks tearing through traffic. No, it begins the very second the quiet of their life is shattered by the dispatch tone. It's an internal alarm going off, well before the external one ever sounds, and their mind has to jump from 0 to 100 miles an hour in an absolute instant.
So let's move right into Section 1, the interrupted morning, going from calm to chaos.
Picture it for a second. The deep quiet of an early morning. A house is still asleep, a warm cup of coffee is sitting on the counter, shoes are casually left by the door. It's the peaceful, totally mundane reality of everyday life. And then there's the sudden, quiet radio crackle and the whispered command, "Let's go." Notice the visceral contrast here? It's not a dramatic scream. It's a quiet, inevitable pull dragging them away from the safety of their personal life and straight into someone else's worst nightmare.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that the very first sacrifice made isn't inside a burning building. The very first casualty is the complete loss of safety and normalcy. Before they've even stepped onto the truck, their peace has been completely surrendered. First responders live in this constant state of hypervigilance, right? They're always waiting for the phantom ring of the dispatch. They are never truly at rest because they know that unfinished morning is always just one call away from being shattered all over again.
As we mechanically break down their physical preparation, it's literally just boots, buckles, breathing. When the adrenaline hits the bloodstream and the hands start to naturally shake, pure muscle memory has to take over. These exact, methodical movements have been learned 1,000 times in training. They've repeated them in the dark, they've repeated them under total exhaustion. The physical body knows exactly what to do to armor up, even when the mind is racing just to catch up with the reality of the emergency ahead.
But here's the absolute paradox of the whole thing. Despite that endless repetition, despite buckling that heavy turnout gear thousands of times, the psychological weight of the unknown remains incredibly heavy. You never actually know what's waiting on the other side of that dispatch. It could be a simple false alarm, or it could be the defining tragic moment of an entire career. Because of that terrifying uncertainty, every single response feels completely and utterly unprecedented.
Let's transition into Section 2, the true meaning of courage, redefining the hero cliché.
By redefining courage exactly as the song does, walking into fire because someone else cannot, beginning with shaking hands, we completely strip away that glossy Hollywood cliché of the fearless action star. The grounded reality is deeply rooted in human vulnerability. The fear is absolutely present. The body's primal instinct is literally screaming at them to run away from the danger. But duty and the knowledge that someone else is trapped and can't save themselves overrides that instinct. They step forward anyway.
Okay, Section 3, fighting time, not flames. The reality of the interior. The heat doesn't care who you are, only what you do next. Think about the absolute, terrifying neutrality of the environment they're entering. The fire has no morality. It doesn't recognize your rank, your years of experience, or how brave you are. It is an entirely indifferent consuming force. When you're crawling through pitch-black, superheated smoke, sensory deprivation totally takes over. Survival hinges purely on your training and exactly what you choose to do in the very next passing second.
If you ask almost anyone what a firefighter does, they'll say they fight flames, right? That's the perceived job. But this brilliantly illustrates a massive perspective shift. The real battle is fighting the seconds before hope runs out. The true enemy isn't the fire itself. It's the mercilessly ticking clock. It's the limited oxygen in the tank strapped to their back. It's the structural integrity of the roof weakening by the minute. They are constantly racing against time, knowing the window for a rescue is rapidly closing.
We really need to highlight the incredibly high stakes here. Operating in this environment is a literal labyrinth of split-second decisions with unimaginable consequences. In that blinding toxic smoke, you can't even see your own hand in front of your face. Simply opening a single interior door could mean finding a trapped civilian and saving a life. Or it could introduce a sudden rush of fresh oxygen into a superheated space, triggering a massive, deadly flashover. Every single action carries the absolute weight of life and death.
Moving on to Section 4, Trust Behind the Mask, the core of brotherhood.
No heroes, no legends. Keeping this explainer grounded in reality, we have to highlight how the lyrics explicitly reject the mythical status society often forces upon first responders. We put capes on them as a way to process the incredible things they do, but carrying that label is an incredibly heavy burden because it strips away their humanity. Behind the uniform, they bleed, they fear, they hurt, and they carry trauma just like anyone else. They're just ordinary humans tasked with extraordinary expectations.
Behind the masks, every heartbeat sounds exactly the same. This is such a powerful realization. When you're inside a burning building, extreme danger acts as the ultimate equalizer. All those superficial differences from the outside world, they completely vanish. Surrounded by heat and darkness, the only thing you hear is the heavy mechanical sound of your own breath echoing inside your regulator. It reduces everything down to a shared, vulnerable human pulse. Everyone is experiencing the exact same physiological reaction to terror.
Survival isn't based on superpowers. In an environment literally designed to kill you, it comes down to only people completely trusting the person beside them. When the smoke is so thick you're blind, and the noise is deafening, your partner's physical touch, just a hand on your shoulder or a grip on your harness, is your only tether to reality. It's choosing to blindly trust the person crawling next to you with your life. That bond, forged in absolute extremity, is the only reason they make it out alive.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, the heavy silence and the aftermath.
When the fire finally falls silent, no one speaks. The chronological arc of the song brings us right back to silence. But we really have to understand that this is a vastly different, much heavier silence than the peaceful one that started the morning. The fire is extinguished. The massive rush of adrenaline has completely crashed, leaving this stark, hollow void. They sit on the tailboard of the engine, covered in soot, exhausted down to their bones, enveloped in a quiet that just rings in their ears.
Some victories are too heavy for words. We have to unpack the profound psychological weight carried in the aftermath here. Survival, even a successful rescue, isn't always a joyous celebration. Sometimes, simply surviving what was witnessed inside is a massive burden they have to quietly absorb. You can save a structure, but lose a lifetime of someone's memories. You see things you can literally never unsee. And when you go home, you realize you can never truly explain that profound weight to the civilian world.
Using the outro lyrics, we see the completely cyclical, relentless nature of this duty. The experiential arc doesn't neatly resolve, it just resets. Step 1, tomorrow. Step 2, the alarm will sound again. Step 3, and we will answer again. The gear gets washed, the hoses are packed back onto the truck, and they wait. Despite the trauma, despite the shaking hands and the heavy victories, they will systematically strap their boots back on and answer the call all over again.
So I'll leave you with this provocative thought to wrap up our explainer. They aren't fearless heroes. They are ordinary people bearing an extraordinary psychological weight. What deep sense of duty, what unbreakable core of brotherhood drives someone to willingly carry that profound burden, day after day, knowing they just have to wake up tomorrow and walk into the fire all over again?